and read it. I'll go ahead and read the instructions, and then we'll let you get started. So in this part of the competition, the full presentation, you are taking on a fictional business identity and assigning a fictional business identity to us, the judges. So please make sure that we know who you are and who we are before you begin. You'll have 25 minutes. We'll give you a 5-minute cushion to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem and to recommend a solution that addresses all three. During this time, we will not interrupt you. When you're finished, we will stay in our characters, whatever characters that you've given us, and you stay in yours for a 20-minute Q&A. After the Q&A, I'll call time and we'll go back to our regular roles as judges and students, and we'll give you some feedback. Important thing to keep in mind, the ethical aspects of your analysis are the most important. However, they should be described in simple, practical, common sense terms, not using a philosophical terminology or basing an argument on religious or theological grounds. During the presentation, every one of you must have some type of speaking role. Do you have any questions? Nope. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put myself on mute and you all can take a moment and go ahead and get ready.
I want to make sure if everyone can see my shared screen here.
We can.
Okay, so hello, we are Evolve Consultancy, and we are so excited to be here today to talk to you about your company, Tesla, and about our topic of lithium batteries. So I'm Nicole. I'm joined with my associates, Anmal, Tibi, and Maisie. And throughout this presentation, we want you to keep in mind the word compelling. Compelling is, by definition, is evoking interest, attention, or admiration in a powerfully irresistible way. So this is important for Tesla for many reasons, which we will get into a bit more today. But for this whole presentation, we want you to keep going back to this word of compelling. So today we're looking at the main problem that Tesla is not living up to their vision and mission of being the most compelling car company. So once again, that word compelling comes back into play. And our solution is to become the first large-scale car company to make in-house sodium-ion batteries-powered vehicles. And we're looking at our solution through one main word, which is innovate. And through that, we're looking at 3 pillars, which are lead, change, and compel. So we can jump right in, and I'm going to pass it on to my associate, Tibi.
Thank you, Nicole. I want to start by by discussing the industry that Tesla is operating in. The global electric vehicle automotive industry is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 6%. And EVs are accounted for over 14% of world's passenger vehicle sales in 2022, compared to only 9% in 2021. As the COVID-19 pandemic unfolded in early 2020, the lockdowns implemented in all countries all over the world, the global car sales experienced an unprecedented drop. As the world was coming back in normal in 2022, a steady rise in electric sales were generally expected. But however, it exceeded all of our expectations. Electric car sales in 2021 exceeded all of our expectations, and the same trend followed in 2022 as well. Backed by existing policy support and additional stimulus measures provided by the government, the electric car sales worldwide combined over 3 million and making 2022 a record-breaking year for electric mobility. Moving on, let's take a look at how Tesla is doing. So Tesla continues to dominate the EV sales with over 65% of the market share. However, Tesla's EV market share in the US fell from 72% in 2022 to 58% at the same time. In 2020, same time, it fell to 58% this year in 2023. The big reason behind this dip is pretty simple: competition. Other automakers are putting out stronger EV offerings in the market that Tesla used to dominate. Tesla has been a long time, has been the only player who offers premium EVs, but that has shifted to one of many options. And also there are additional EVs arriving in the showrooms every month from different companies. So in order to keep the competitors at bay and reach your goals of 50% global sales growth this year, Mr. Musk, you have slashed the prices up to 20% on most models this year. Despite your best efforts, demand is still easing for you. You have been able to afford to cut prices because of your industry-leading profit margins, but it may end up being a temporary fix. Okay. Let's look at Tesla's batteries. Right now, Tesla is currently using lithium-ion battery packs. These are the same battery packs we use in our mobile phones or laptops. Compared to our regular car batteries that we have on our diesel vehicles or even petrol vehicles, these have greater energy density and it tends to hold their charges longer. With the rising demand in electric vehicles, lithium prices have hit all-time highs and stayed elevated. We have been hearing about many environmental impacts of lithium mining, like water scarcity or soil contamination all over the world. Demand from lithium is expected to soar in coming years. It is forecasted that lithium demand will reach over 2.4 million metric tons by 2030. Much higher than the forecasted 600,000 metric ton of supply expected to be in 2023. That's plenty of lithium that's arts crushed, but extracting processing, there are plenty of lithium that can be extracted from arts crushed, but extracting process and qualifying for its use for electric vehicles are a different story. Lithium demand from the electric vehicle sector is rising, and it's a trend that expected to continue throughout the decade. It feels like we have come a full circle from using fuel when we have been using fuel for over the last 30 years, or like for the last 50 years even. We have been using the minerals for oil extraction so much that right now we are facing climate change, and I feel we have a strong feeling that you are going to do this same thing with lithium. Right now, there are not enough raw materials in the pipeline to take the majority of the electric vehicles makers beyond 2030. In response to that, Mr. Musk, you have recently shared that Tesla had bought tenements in the Nevada state of the US and is actively pursuing to look for new way to produce lithium from clay. But however, this process has not yet to be proven commercially valuable for you. Moving on, at the end of, let's take a look at Tesla's supply chain and where else you are getting your lithiums from or your other minerals from. At the end of 2021, Tesla inked a fresh 3-year lithium supply deal with their top lithium producer, Ganfeng Lithium in China. The Chinese company has been providing new products for Tesla for 3 years, starting from 2022. Tesla also has partnerships with other smaller companies for lithium. Even though Tesla has secured lithium from all these companies, the electronic vehicle supply chain is a bit more complex than buying lithium directly from miners, because there are other players in the scene as well. Tesla also worked with battery makers, Panasonic from Japan, which themselves work with other chemical companies that secures their own deals. These companies have mines all over the world. And these companies source materials from different like Chile, China, Mali, Philippines, Peru, etc. Your other partner, Glencore, who is your largest cobalt supplier, they have been repeatedly reported to employ children in their Congo mines, and there were other human rights violations in place too. Okay, now let's analyze the most produced and most sold vehicle for Tesla. It's a Tesla Model 3. The Tesla Model 3 has a battery pack that pollutes the climate with almost 11 to 15 tons of carbon dioxide. Each battery pack has a lifespan of approximately 10 years and a total mileage up to 150,000 kilometers, which would mean it emits 73 to 98 grams of carbon dioxide in air per kilometer. Add this to the carbon emission that electricity from power plants that powers your vehicles, that actually Tesla emissions could be between 156 to 180 grams of carbon dioxide per kilometer. Let's compare it with the actual diesel vehicle. A Tesla Model 3 is touted as zero-emission car by government regulators, but it is actually results more carbon dioxide than a comparable diesel-powered car. This research has been done in Germany. This research shows that driving a Tesla model in Germany is responsible for about 156 to 180 grams of carbon dioxide per kilometer, compared to just 151 grams of per kilometer for a diesel-powered Mercedes C2200D. This includes carbon emissions produced from diesel fuel as well. It is just not the battery production, but the charging the vehicle that also emits a lot of carbon dioxide. Just because Germany gets its 35% of its electricity from coal-fired plants, the charging in Tesla accounts for that carbon emissions too. So to summarize all the ethical dilemma, the production of lithium batteries requires the extraction of rare materials like lithium, cobalt, nickel. The mining process can have significant environmental impacts like deforestation, soil degradation, water pollution, and of course, carbon dioxide emissions. Additionally, the disposal of lithium batteries can cause environmental harm that, if not properly managed. The mining of lithium also and other materials used in this battery often done in developing countries, like I've mentioned in Congo, with lax labor laws and poor working conditions. We have some pictures in the appendices. If you guys would, we have not put in the presentation because there are children involved, and that might be a trigger. That might trigger something for you, negative emotions for you. That's why if you guys are interested, we would be happy to show you those. Moving on, there are also the production of lithium batteries requires significant of energy, and the production of the process can result in significant carbon emissions. While electric vehicles powered by lithium batteries can be more environmentally friendly than gas-powered vehicles, over the lifetime, the environmental impact of their production and disposables should be considered when you're selling our product. So we have, and all these issues have driven a number of stakeholders to react. Consumer goods have spoken out for a better production measures or better environmental practices. Legislators are seeking a solution to this major problem. Also, competitions are beginning to invest in research and development technology. We have seen here a lot of competitions coming up with a lot more environmentally friendly options. And also consumers are shifting away from your products that has been reflected by your declining market share. Now let's take a look at the legal dimension of Tesla's operation. So Tesla's use of lithium batteries in electric vehicles do not violate any laws or regulations in any of the countries or regions you guys are currently operating in. Primarily, we have evaluated the US, Canada, and European Union, and all the materials are widely used in the production of batteries, and the mining processes of these baths are subjected to various environmental regulations in different countries. While there have been no concerns about the environmental impact of mining, there is no evidence that suggests that Tesla has directly violated any laws and regulations. However, a lot of the countries are getting stricter these days with where they're importing their materials from. Like Tesla gets their lithium from China. US currently is considering, House of Commons is currently looking at how they can they can import their materials in a more environmentally friendly way or a more sustainable way. There is something that Tesla has been faced with. That's like Tesla is defending itself in the US and Germany against the allegation that it has violated environmental rules and regulation, and also which also indicates that Tesla has been practicing greenwashing. In the US, the Environmental Protection Agency accused Tesla last year of failing to prove it is in compliance with the federal emission standards for hazardous air pollutants. In Germany, the financial filings say the authorities have fined Tesla about 12 million euros for allegedly failing to make public notifications and properly fulfill their obligation to take back the old batteries from the customers. These batteries will end up in landmines or even worse. Now I'm going to pass it to Macy, and she's going to take you through the ethical dimension of our solution, of the problem.
Yep, thanks, David. My name is Maisie, and I'm going to talk about the ethical dimension. Moving on to this part, the first thing is to define what do we mean by ethics. In the simple language, ethics is full of consideration of the impact one is having on others and try to minimize the harm while increasing benefits. When considering the ethical dimension of a company, it is important to examine their vision and mission statements. These statements reveal the brand's integration, goals, and the basis for how the company will develop. A vision statement is the act for the power of imagination. It answers the question about what, where, or who the company wants to be, portraying the future state of the company. Tesla vision statement is to create the most compelling car company of the 21st century by driving the world's transition to electric vehicles. Tesla advertising focused on environmentally friendly cars, emphasizing the advancement of humanity through technology. Looking at it, the phrase compelling of the 21st century can be taken narrowly to the meaning of engineering only, or more broadly, what Tesla car means in its social dimension. So the ethical side, it's not mentioned in their vision. Moving on to the mission statement. The mission statement answers the why of the brand's existence and brings up the purpose or the passion towards the concept. It is the roadmap of the company objective and how to achieve their goals. Tesla mission is to accelerate the advent of sustainable report. It is clear that sustainable report is the goal of the company. In other words, their goal are taking environmental, social concerns into account. However, this interpretation of being environmentally friendly is narrow. It ignores the supply chain activities and disposal of the batteries that the company is doing. In ethical dimension, every company has the obligation to fulfill their duty of care. The duty of care is a requirement that a brand act toward others and the public with watchfulness, attention, and prudence in any circumstances. If a brand's action do not meet the standard of care, they're considered negligent, and any damages resulting may be claimed in a lawsuit for negligence. We would now look at the stakeholder involvements and evaluate the brand within their duty of care. On the supply side, as being shown on the screen, we have stakeholders who are contributing to the company. Shareholders have the financial linkage with the company's profitability and growth potential. The government is providing the company incentives in many forms. Suppliers are the ones who fulfill the supply needs, and local communities are hosting operation in their local area. For example, the lithium mining process. Employees who invest segment of their limited lifetime to the company by working for them. Customers are the ones who give the trust and contribute to the company's economic sector. On the different side, these stakeholders have demands toward the company performance. Shareholders looking for long-term financial, ethical, and sustainable success. Government wants to see the industry growth and overly create more benefits for the society. Local communities are demanding that health and safety concerns are met. Employees demand that their personal moral characters are respected and their human worth is appreciated. Customer to ensure it's looking after the safety and continuously earning their trust. Special thing here to look at is that these expectations are not created individually by these stakeholders, but by Tesla, the company itself. They came up with their goals and promises, and Tesla's responsibility is to take care of the unmatched expectation that they create and advertise. So we are saying that Tesla is not currently meeting up to their expectation. Why we're saying that? So first, Tesla is outsourcing their batteries and operations overseas to save cost, predominantly in China. However, this is causing Tesla to be overly dependent on their countries for their operations. And as an industry leader, Tesla has the responsibility to create jobs and new opportunities in the USA and not North America. Moreover, the company currently ignoring the environmental impact. Tesla vehicle is that they are powered by lithium ion batteries. And these batteries are well known for powering electric vehicles. The entire lithium extraction process contributes to an increase in carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Lithium miners also cut down trees and remove other life forms on their mining areas, leading to the loss of biodiversity. So the large-scale lithium extraction also requires significant amount of water and land. Going into more details, we will look at the customer perception towards the brand and how Tesla is doing in reality. Tesla customers are the one who most critical to stakeholders to the company. They expect high quality, reliable batteries and offer excellent performance in range. Additionally, they also expect the brand to prioritize safety, sustainability, and affordability in their battery technology. The perception here is Tesla has positioned itself as a company that is committed to sustainability and environmental sustainability. However, customers think that they're getting a sustainable product and are not fully aware of the negative environmental impact from lithium mining. The brand is promoting a sustainable product and saying their products are 100% recycled, like all the batteries are 100% recycled. However, in reality, Tesla does not provide enough details about the production process of its vehicles, as well as the recycling process for consumer. Currently, due to our research, there's no sustainable way to create lithium batteries. So when we get back to the root of ethics in the next slides, good ethics means that good ethics means meeting expectation and avoid disappointment. So here, Tesla attracted their customer by all the promises and end up disappointing them. In this situation, people value negative returns and loses more significantly than the positive value gains. I'm going to put this into a very easy example. Imagine you lost your $50 bill. However, the term it's more painful when it comes in terms of magnitude than like you find a $50 bill. So that is how customers being misled with values and their monetary contribution by the brand words and action. It is apparently that the brand is not living up to their commitment and their words to sustainable transport invention, as they are failing the duty of care by not caring about people and the communities. Tesla is aware of its impact and expectation from all the stakeholders. The company took initiative to take care of its words and commitment. However, there are still not enough and there are a lot of room for improvements. That is how we are putting Tesla on the responsive stage in the ethical dimension and hoping that they will strive to meet and exceed the standard of care for their stakeholders. I'm passing on to Anmo to talk about business and financial dimension.
Thank you, Macy. Now begin to talk about the business or financial dimension surrounding Tesla. So Tesla's core values include doing the best, taking the risk, respect, constant learning, and environmental consciousness. It is every company's responsibility to stick to their core values, or else the company's reputation suffers. Tesla is no exception in this case. It has all these core values and claim that they're following them. But in reality, are they? They're not doing everything in their power to follow these values, and there are a lot of blind spots to look at. Next, let's focus on the first core value, doing the best. Tesla says that it is doing the best in the market by leading the path towards the future of electric vehicles. But it may be true that they are the market leaders in EV industry, but they're not doing the best that they could be doing. To do the best means looking at all the available options and choosing the best out of all of them. Even though electric cars seems like a better alternative to gasoline or diesel vehicles in the past, it is not the same case anymore, as we must also consider the harmful effects of producing the lithium batteries that go into EVs. Tesla is not engaging in activities to look for a better alternative to those batteries, so they do the least possible harm. Tesla is always saying that they're concerned about the environment and the carbon dioxide emissions emitted by the gas cars that are contributing to climate change. In order to reduce that effect, they are promoting their products as being environmentally friendly, and that may be true, but their final product is more environmentally friendly, but the same cannot be said about their production process. One of the other core values include environmentally consciousness, and this is true to some extent. They're indeed conscious about the environment. They're indeed conscious about the environmental concern regarding the final product, but they also need to pay more attention to the supply chain activities. Their production process of cars generate way more carbon dioxide than their cars ever will. And that is why they generally tend to just focus on promoting the cars and not what goes into making those cars. Next, I'll talk about Tesla's current focus is on continue to expand with current production methods. Their current focus is on increasing production capacity, increasing market share, improving the range of its vehicles using lithium batteries. And if it continues to focus on these aspects, the long-term results will include lithium mining still causing environmental damage, loss in sales due to consumers being more aware how bad the lithium is for the environment, and lawsuits due to false claims, such as that they claim that they are really environmentally friendly than their competitors, but in fact, they're not. Next, I'll talk about the Volkswagen emissions scandal. And what does it mean for Tesla? In 2015, Volkswagen was caught violating the US Clean Air Act by intentionally cheating on emissions test. They unethically installed a defeat device to alter the operations during the emissions test in order to meet United States legal emissions standards. Overall, 11 million cars were sold worldwide, and all of those cars were claimed to be greener than they actually were. So what happened to Volkswagen as a result really hurt the company. Firstly, consumer trust is what a company needs to build, and breaking it will damage the company's reputation in a way that will be really hard for the company to recover from. This is what happened to Volkswagen as a result of the deception. They lost their consumer trust and their shares value declined by 37%. Not only the Volkswagen company was affected, but also other German manufacturers also saw the impact of this in the rest of the world as their sales were also affected. So Tesla also needs to be careful because it prides itself on innovation and sustainability, because they cannot afford to lose the trust of their customers. As a market leader, it is held more accountable, not just for ethical reasons, but for their financial stability and reputation as well. This scandal also gave a big financial blow to Volkswagen, as it cost them more than $21 billion, including $4.3 billion penalty. Next, now taking Volkswagen as an example, let's see what does it mean for Tesla. If Tesla is unable to act as a market leader in leading innovation and change in a sustainable manner, then its implication would be that its competitors will bring in about more efficient change, and as a result, Tesla will eventually lose its market share to its competitors and will lose its position as a market leader. And we have already started seeing that happen. What if Tesla is also unable to expand their sustainability ideas to more than just their end product, which are mostly their cars? By expanding, what we mean is that Tesla pride themselves by the fact that they care about the environment. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole separate process that goes into making those lithium batteries. But the fact is that it is not sustainable for the environment at all, raises questions at Tesla's claims and mission statements. As more and more people become aware of the negative effects of lithium mining, then they will lose trust in electric vehicles in general and will believe that, in fact, they are not as environmentally friendly as the companies and governments claim them to be. Lastly, just like Volkswagen, which is one of the world's well-known and biggest car manufacturers, used deception to clear the emissions test, who is to say Tesla won't do the same? And it did, and I'll talk about it in the next slide. But if it does happen to Tesla again, then they will receive a large penalty and would also lose customer confidence and even possibly not being able to get it back. This will also hurt the sales of the entire electric vehicle industry. Now, here's some avoidable costs that Tesla had to incur. Tesla says that they recycle 100% of their used batteries, But in Germany, they had to face a fine of $14.5 million because they didn't take the batteries from customers just like they promised they would. Tesla claims that they take back 100% and recycle 100% of the battery, lithium batteries. But that was not the case in Germany at that time. And additional costs that are not included in Tesla's financial statements include reputational damage. This type of cost, but it is still important to take them into consideration as it affects them. Reputation, as we mentioned before, Tesla was sued in Germany regarding greenwashing, and their reputational damage is one of the biggest factors that leads companies to go to a downfall. Now I'll pass it on to Nicole to talk. Nicole, you're muted.
Okay, so we don't have a lot of time, so we'll go through this pretty quickly, but we first want to start off with, once again, the main problem, which is that Tesla is not keeping their promise of being a super compelling car company. And we want to do this through innovation, and we want to solve this problem by using lead, change, and compel. So I want to go back to compelling, which I won't go over the definition again, but we once again want you to keep in mind this definition. When we think of compelling, we were thinking of, there's a lot of different methods or thoughts when it comes to compelling, but we thought that sodium-ion batteries would truly be a compelling topic to talk about today. So we first want to start with lead, which is we want to be the automotive giant to use sodium-ion batteries as a power source. We want to do this because we want to give you guys a competitive advantage while adhering to your original goals of being compelling. So this would improve relationships with customers and employees, and it would cause less long-term costs, and it would provide you with legal protection. So what are sodium-ion batteries? So they're a rechargeable battery that uses sodium ion as a charge carrier. So sodium ion versus lithium batteries, there's a lot of differences. So first of all, the cost of carbonate is $3,000 per ton, whereas the cost of lithium carbonate is about $570,000 per ton. That is a big difference, and it's kind of shocking to hear that. But if you consider how much sodium ion is needed per battery, it becomes a bit of a combined cost. But at the end of the day, it is significantly cheaper to mine sodium carbonate. And it uses cheap, abundant, non-environmentally harmful resources, whereas lithium uses harmful materials and has a simpler recovery process for recycling, whereas lithium requires a lot of steps and a lot of complex separations are required. So our solution is to, why is this not used? So it's not used because manufacturing on a commercial scale hasn't really existed in the past. There's a lot of companies out there who have thought about doing it, and it is going to be the next big innovation in EV. There's a lot of articles out there, and there's a lot of signs pointing towards switching towards sodium-ion batteries. However, there's not a lot of manufacturing on a commercial wide scale, which means that there's not a lot of research out there on it, but there is proof that it is significantly cheaper and it is significantly better for the environment. And as more research gets put into it, there's more benefits that are revealed. So we want to do research and development more, which is our solution. We want to make sodium ion manufacturing plants, and we want to make the transition from lithium ion to sodium ion. So next is change, which I won't go over this, but we'll talk about it in the next slide a little bit more about what we're doing for this. So we want to drive social environmental change in the absence of government action. So we want to petition to increase regulations surrounding the sales and purchase of EVs. There's not a lot of it surrounding right now. A lot of people just think of EVs as this wonderful product that is super sustainable and super good for the environment. So we want to more lobby towards people and get more regulations on EVs to really explain what the actual cost of lithium batteries is. And we want to continue lobbying for new regulations with the government. I won't go over this as well, but I'll go over it more in our next slide. So we want to go back to the beginning, which is creating the most compelling car company of the 21st century by driving the world's transition to electric cars and accelerating the advert of sustainable transport. These are super important vision and mission statements for you guys, and we really want to come back to that central idea. So we want to do this by redesigning company culture and prioritizing communication and honesty. So we want to create open communication with stakeholders, address the environmental impact of producing Tesla vehicles, and conduct meetings to ensure that Tesla is sticking to its original vision, which we believe is super important. So another thing is manufacturing in-house. This is also what we believe is super important for your company because, you know, if you're manufacturing your batteries and you're outsourcing, then you don't necessarily know what's going on. You can't keep track of your environmental costs. And as well, you're not keeping that science and that engineering close to your own company. So we think it's super important to manufacture your batteries in-house, which will give you a competitive advantage and help America gain further market share in the EV industry. And stakeholders, just going back to this, we're trying to meet all these goals, which we believe that we really are with our solution. And the cost of innovation, it looks like it didn't show up on this page, but I'll go over it a bit briefly. It would cost about $600,000 or $600 million to do all this, which sounds like a big cost, but at the end of the day, that cost would significantly improve your business going forward, and which I'll get in a little bit in the next few slides. But it would also be less of a cost in the future because it would go, the production cost of producing sodium ion is significantly cheaper, as I touched on before. So it would level out in the end. So impact of switching to sodium batteries has the ethical impact, which would be an environmentally friendly way of powering Tesla vehicles. It would live up to the company vision. Producing in-house would really help to set Tesla apart, and it would not deceive consumers or employees who are, you know, believe so much in this vision. And I know a lot of people who own Teslas are so proud of their Tesla, and they want to, you know, really show people that they're caring about the environment. And by doing this, it would really greatly improve that proudness and that pride around the vehicle. And the legal impact, once again, no risk for being sued for greenwashing, and, you know, potential lawsuits are very expensive, so we want to mitigate that risk for you. And then business and financial impact would be cheaper long-term cost in production, improved reputation, which is super important, and taking control of production by using in-house methods. So I won't go over this too much, but this is just a basic timeline of our plan. It goes from 2023 to 2026 and includes all our different pillars of lead, change, and compel. And there's my cost slide. Next. And then Tesla's new ethical position would be, before where it's responsive, it would go up to ethical, which would be integrating ethical practices into the core of the business, which is really where you guys want to be and where the world would want to see you guys. So yeah. Thank you.
Okay, fabulous. So do you want to stop sharing the screen so that we can see everyone? There we go. Great, perfect. All right, so my fellow board members, do you have any questions for our consulting group?
Sure, I will start. So you mentioned a 3-year timeline. That seems very ambitious. Who has this technology? Because to do something to generate a whole new energy platform, which is what I understand you're proposing, would take decades in my experience. And so that's my first question. I have another question, but I'll hold off for now.
Yeah, for sure. I'll take that question. So right now there is technology and there is research being done on sodium ion batteries that we can, or that your company can use going forward with within that range and that data that's already being produced. It is ambitious, but Tesla is such a big company and such a successful company that we believe that it would be possible. And it's also just, you know, it's a timeline, it's a generalized timeline. So if it would take longer, then there'd be that, you know, wiggle room. And because you are such a big company, and because Tesla is they want to, you know, get ahead, and you guys, it's a goal to kind of put themselves and be this compelling company, like we stated so many times before. We believe that it would be a good goal to reach that. But if they didn't reach that timeline, then, you know, it would take longer, and that would be fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that. So Tesla does not do the research is already there. Tesla just needs to take the research in and upgrade their product, build on that. Right now, there are a lot of like the most advancement has been done from the research by Department of Energy, Pacific in the Northwest. They have made a functional sodium ion battery, which they have been using for EV. But the only problem with that is they are not giving as much as range. So it's like only it can be done. It can be used for daily driven or like city driven, but it cannot be integrated into a car that's like Tesla Model 3 or Model Y, which have range of like 500 miles. So they can take that technology and get their experts in and then build on that product. So we believe 3 years might be a stretch, but that's a starting point. By 3 years, they will have a breakthrough, especially with a genius like yourself, Mr. Mask. You have the vision, you have the resources, and you have the ability. If you are, yeah.
I've been really busy with Twitter lately though, but that's another story. Okay, one other question, and then I'll let the other board members pose questions. You mentioned taking things in-house, but we just built these huge gigafactories in Nevada, Texas. I think we have some in Asia. I don't even know. It's just so many of them. And so we already are doing that. I don't understand what you're proposing that we haven't already done.
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, there's a lot of production going into lithium ion batteries and the production of lithium ion batteries and the manufacturing places to do that. Because that money is already going into producing lithium ion batteries, we better in making in-house in that way. You know, you can become fully from the I think my Wi-Fi cut out.
Yeah, it might be my Wi-Fi, but I'm getting bad audio right now. But I think I understood your answer.
You can be fully.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add on to that question. The current gigafactories are actually built to produce cars and to use lithium battery as a source to produce more electric vehicles. But we are offering is to have in-house production of sodium ion batteries and use that in the future to produce cars. And even right now, even if Tesla starts to consider that to start to use sodium ion batteries, it's actually going to increase the reputational image in front of the general public, just to show that they actually do care about the environment and they're trying to change and innovate as much as possible.
Yeah, I'd like to add on that too. So right now, your largest battery partner is Panasonic, and there was also LG, who is providing you with lithium batteries. They have their own supply chain in place, right? Like LG, Panasonic gets their lithium from China and Peru and Congo. So it's really hard for you to look after that supply chain and what's going on in their ethical, like what's unethical things are going on in their supply chain. So what we want to do is we would like you to have more control over the supply chain, because that's the issue right now, like where you are getting your products from, or where there are a lot of things that are being validated in these mines. So we want you to have more control over your whole supply chain. That's why you proposed you move your whole battery production within Tesla.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'll dive in. Can you tell me more about the risk analysis that you conducted on sodium ion as a solution? Because of course, when we entered into our current business model using lithium, we didn't fully anticipate some of the negative consequences that you've noted today that we're well aware of. So I assume it would be the same when we are switching products, that there's something in the future sort of unanticipated that will arise. Can you help me feel a little bit better about the risk analysis that you've completed on this so that I can have a little more confidence in the solution?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we do think that, when lithium batteries were introduced into the market, all of us were thinking that, it's really good for the environment. And as time went on, we started to realize that it's not so good, like this extraction process. but we did so much research into how the sodium is extracted, and there's a lot of sodium ion is more abundant than lithium, so it is more generally available and accessible. And we can go to because of the due to our research, we found out that we can go to dry up sea, we can go to sea brines to collect sodium with doing the least possible harm to the environment, to the ground and the environment. But we're not saying that it is completely environmentally friendly, but it is more environmentally friendly than our current option, which is using lithium. Lithium is causing so much damage to the environment, and by switching to sodium, it'll cause less damage than we're currently using. And that's what we believe. And sodium ion batteries, due to because of our research, we found out that their lifespan is of 20 years. So we don't even necessarily have to replace them every 8 to 10 years. So they will last longer, and we will be causing less harm to the environment. It is basically essentially doing the least greatest possible good with least harm.
So I thought I heard something in your solution that we need to increase regulations on our industry. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I'm not really sure why we would want any more regulations than we already have to follow.
For sure, I can get on that. So right now, the government does not have any regulations in place. Basically, your competition, let's say let's consider Volkswagen, they can get their products from anywhere. Like if they need lithium, if they need cobalt, they can go to Congo and use the mines for that. Who employs children in their mines, and they can get their cobalt from there and cut you in prices. So we want to stop that from happening. We want government to take actions where they can enforce these practices, where like the companies are forced to get their raw materials in a ethical way or in a legal way as well. Like it's just not, see, right now what companies are doing is they are meeting the standards of third world countries, but we want you to step it up so that like it's been met all of like let's say Volkswagen is meeting the standards in the States, like who have the highest or like high standards in terms of ethical or legal obligations. That way we will be actually be cutting down the full environmental impact. It's just not the Tesla cars or all the EVs when they're on the roads. It's just not like they're not just emitting less carbon on the roads. The whole supply chain process is environmentally friendly and are done in a most socially impactful way.
So are we doing this in order to kind of make everyone more environmentally friendly so that we're all impacting the environment less, or are we doing this to have a competitive edge? Because we've stepped ahead of the regulations by doing this sodium thing.
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the main ideas that we looked at when finding a solution was we wanted Tesla to remain that super incredible brand that everyone loves, and we wanted to keep that going with Tesla. And we believe that if Tesla makes these regulations and lobbies for more sustainability in the EV car brand, the brand perception itself will be greatly improved, and people will look at the brand and go, they actually care. They actually care about the environment and about the impact of EVs on the environment. And that's kind of what the angle we were looking at was, not just, because we could go and tell you that you should take this next step and keep it to yourself, but to truly reach that brand image, we believe that by implementing and lobbying, that people will see it as not just a step to see more sustainable, but it's really the next step of, oh, this brand actually cares.
Okay, thank you. Jessica, Greg, did you have any other questions?
Yeah, I can ask one more if that works. And it's really regarding company culture. So one, I heard in Maisie in sort of the stakeholder ethics section, you said something about a responsibility for creating more jobs in North America. So I'm hoping you can tell me more about that. And then it was sort of implied throughout the presentation that there's a culture issue within Tesla and we need to improve in some way there. Can you speak to sort of what you think is lacking at Tesla in terms of how we are treating our employee base, if you think that that is feeding into part of this problem?
Yeah, for sure, I can take that. So what I mentioned is Tesla is now like they are outsourcing their batteries and operations like overseas to save cost. So however, one of our solution is bringing the manufacturer in-house so that we can create more jobs and more opportunities in the USA as well as in North America. And we also do believe that that solution adds up to when, like, for example, an employee, they work for Tesla, they're expected to work in a very, with an ethical, sustainable, like the company taking all the initiatives to protect the environment. So an employee that working in that environment, they feel like they feel really self-valued and they want to work for Tesla because of that. And if Tesla is doing like besides of protecting the environment, they offering manufacturing in-house and so that they can create more jobs and or like attract more employees to join.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we're going to drop our fake personas. We're no longer board members, we're judges, and you all can drop your consulting personas. And so we're just going to give you all some feedback. If you have any questions throughout the process, please ask. This is not just us. It's not just a one-way communication, it's two-way. So feel free to ask us any questions that you have as well. So Greg, Jessica, you want to get started in the feedback?
Yeah, first of all, overall, I thought you did a great job. There was obviously, I think you're running out of time and that's always hard to predict, but it seemed like you might have had too many slides just to go through them in the whatever half hour or so that we allot for this. I also just on presentation, and I struggle with this myself, so don't take this as like real negative or anything. There was a lot of times where it felt like you were speaking too quickly. And I know it was probably because you had so much information to convey, but it really would help if you slow down your delivery, which I'm trying to do. And it's hard. I realize that. The other thing was some of the slides, like, I think there was a slide that the header was reaction. There was so much information on that slide. I literally couldn't read it. The print was so small. And I think also the slide that followed that, where you're comparing the US, Canada, and Europe, again, there was just too much information to really convey with a slide there. So some of that maybe could have been in an appendix and just have, more bullet points and just summarizing what you were trying to convey in those two slides. I think one of the things that you needed to make it more compelling was to show not the cost per ton of the raw material, but the cost per whatever the metric is of, gigawatt hours or whatever battery capacity. I think that would be more compelling. Just to say that sodium carbonate is cheaper than lithium carbonate. Well, I think you mentioned that these batteries are much heavier when they're using sodium. So it didn't seem compelling to me. And I mean, that might have been part of the just overall challenge is that you're trying to sell a technology that's really not ready yet. And I don't know. I haven't researched this obviously, but those were my observations. Overall, I thought you did a great job presenting. So thanks.
Okay, on my side, agree in terms of the solution because it is so different and because the time got cut short. I just recommend, of course, much more time on the solution, maybe even tell us right up front that this is the solution so that we know there's a major sort of influence piece coming later down in the presentation. But of course, knowing that it's a big ask, and backing it up a little bit more with, I don't know, even if you have to stretch a little, like putting some risks out there so that we know this isn't just this perfect solution that somehow an entire company of really smart people overlooked, right? That might help us in terms of some credibility with the solution. In terms of presentation, I want to say nice branding on the slides, unified look as a team with sort of your backgrounds. I personally appreciate that. There were some really solid slides that were mostly simple and easy to follow. Of course, agree with the complex ones, either find a way to simplify or put them in an appendix. I agree with that. Good tone and passion in terms of presentation. Good job on rotating Q&A, maybe a little more polished with, answering your questions, but I don't think you even have more Q&A coming up. So just my 2 cents that really putting yourself in the shoes of the audience and thinking about what we might ask ahead of time is always great so that you can be prepared for these questions, which, for example, one of our other panelists literally asked a question that I was going to ask too. So I assume that you could guess at some of these, for example, on the regulation piece. The only other major call out that I want to put out there is the use of you versus they. So there was a lot of they and their about Tesla when really if we're on the board, it's, you, right? So just conveying to the audience that you are using the right terminology and understand where they are at is helpful. And then I just want to point out some of what you were telling the board we already know. For example, there were some slides at the beginning that were spent on the lithium ion batteries, that competition's growing, that we've had to slash prices. And just if I were really a board member, it would feel like salt in a wound that you are pointing out all this stuff that partially we already know or it might be obvious. So just find, maybe a more subtle way to weave in some of that content and make sure that you're using the right terminology for us as board members.
Yeah, I thought you all did a great job just on the terminology part. I know we're talking about Tesla, which has a very, strong CEO as its and founder as its front person. But if you were actually talking to a board of directors, you would not be wanting to just address the CEO because the rest of the members of the board would get very frustrated with you very quickly. So if you're in that position in the future, make sure you don't do that. So yeah, I think, I think your idea is a good one. Let's move away from lithium batteries. You spent a lot of time talking about all the issues with lithium batteries. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more balance on looking at the issues around the solution, right? And maybe that was kind of a time management issue, but if you put the solution as Jessica recommended up front, and maybe then spend less time on the downsides to the current batteries, you could have spent a little bit more time on your solution so that we would have been more sold that, oh, right, this is a great solution. And you've looked at all the various aspects of the solution. I think you did an excellent job of tying in the ethical issues surrounding this topic with the values and mission and of the company. And that's fabulous. And we definitely like to see that in the IBET competition. So I thought that was great. I think that from an organizational standpoint, it could have been more, it could have been a little bit smoother because it felt like it bounced around a little bit. Like, you know, we talked about values and then we came back to it again. So, I mean, maybe kind of from an organizational standpoint, it could have been a bit smoother, but I think you did a fabulous job on looking at the ethics of this whole thing, which is at the end of the day, that's what our competition's all about. So feedback for your 10-minute presentation. And then I'll ask Jessica and Greg to add any thoughts that they might have. You also have the 90-second, but that one's pretty short and sweet. So, but for the 10-minute, it should be limited to about 2 of you, maybe 3, but the smaller the number, the better. No, there's no slides. And the idea is that you've been called back to the board to talk about the ethical aspects, which I don't think that you'll have any problem doing because you've done a lot of research and you did a great job covering ethics, but you'll need to talk about the ethics of both the issues around the lithium batteries, and then also around your solution. Okay, so make sure that you kind of tie ethics into both of those. My suggestion to you is to really start with here is the problem and here is the solution right up front, right? So people know exactly what you're talking about from the beginning, because it may not be us, the 3 of us as judges are probably may or may not be with you tomorrow. So just want to, you know, they won't have the benefit of knowing what your proposal is. And make sure tomorrow also that you identify who you are and who the judge is. Greg and Jessica, do either of you have any feedback for them that might help them in the competition tomorrow?
No, I mean, just repeating what I said before, just try to slow down. Because when you speak quickly, it's kind of difficult sometimes to follow and understand.
Yeah, I don't have anything new. I think, Maria, you hit on exactly what I would have said, which is spend more time on the solution, or at least make it balanced a little bit more. But otherwise, presentation and polish wise, I think you're definitely on the right track. So overall, just want you to, you know, feel positive about our feedback today. And I think just pointing out some areas of opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Do you have any questions for us?
I think we're good right now. We just want to say thank you for having us today and spending your time judging us. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
Yeah,
you
well,
so
thank
much.
you for participating in IBEC. I think that it's a great experience, and Jessica, I'm sure, can attest to that, having seen that side of it as well. So thank you so much for putting the time in and for all the hard work you did. You really did have a great PowerPoint deck, and I see the marketing, the inner marketing experts in you, with your backgrounds and the great slides and the color schemes and everything. That's awesome. That it goes a long way. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I hope you guys all have a great evening, and good luck tomorrow.